Overnight, they are receiving food, shelter, and a little bit of relief from those dangerous wildfires that have upended their lives. Ellison?
Dana Griffin in Maui, thank you. And there's also chaos at the Maui airport as thousands of people, mostly tourists, wait for flights to take them off the island. NBC's Steve Patterson is there tonight with more.
Tonight, thousands of passengers are just trying to get home.
People are getting delayed. People are getting canceled. Baggage claims is a mess. It's all over the place.
Many still stranded in Maui's Kahului airport, processing the devastation they managed to escape.
It's just scary to see a big wildfire just kind of coming your way, and it's not something I ever experienced before.
We jumped out of the car and ran as fast as we could and got out.
Amy Springsteen is headed home to Oregon. She says this is what's left of her Maui rental car. She, along with some others in her party, were going to dinner when she says flames leapt onto the street.
There was debris everywhere, fire falling down on top of us, but we got out safe.
So far, more than 20,000 passengers have fled the island since the fires began. Thousands are still waiting.
I think everybody feels safe that they've gotten here to the airport and there's food because there was no food on the island.
A lot of the seats are full, a lot of people standing around just waiting for their flights.
Tonight, many travelers will still call the airport home, as airlines scramble to add extra flights to get them out. American Airlines even upgraded a plane headed to Los Angeles with extra seats. On Southwest and Hawaiian Airlines, websites showing available flights from Maui to Honolulu for $19.
Wow.
And United Airlines saying they've canceled all inbound flights to Kahului Airport so empty planes can be used to get passengers back to the mainland. And Allison, this travel nightmare continues again tonight. People trying the best that they can to flee this island. I can tell you there's a woman who's been sleeping here in this courtyard TSA area for 2 nights. We've been speaking to transportation officials. They say another 14,000 people will try to flee again tonight. Allison?
Steve Patterson at the Maui airport, thank you. For more on what is ahead for Hawaii and the summer storm slamming the mainland, Michelle Grossman joins us now. Michelle, is there any relief in sight for Maui?
Hi there, Ellison. Yes, the good news is there is relief in sight. We've dropped all wind warnings, including high wind warnings. There's no red flag warnings. That's the good news. But notice we're still looking at gusty winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. So from time to time, we're starting to see these winds pick up. But the area of high pressure, the area of low pressure.
What is this? Police situation in Phoenix freeway. Okay.
On the West Coast. Coming up here in just about 10 minutes, we do expect there to be a news conference with officials in Hawaii to break down the latest information
We'll do the press
about
conference.
the Hawaii wildfires that are now believed to have killed 53 people. The governor there in Hawaii saying it is likely that number will only increase in the coming hours and coming days. We'll bring you that news conference right here on Live Now from Fox. In the meantime, I do want to head to another story that we have been following out of New York City. That is where a man who was well known there as a dancer was killed at a gas station while dancing to Beyonce. Again, this was in the parking lot.
There's so much weird shit going on.
A 17-year-old had been arrested, but we also know now that a hate crime charge has been filed against that 17-year-old. The DA providing an update earlier on today, fairly short, but I do want to play that for you here, raw and unfiltered.
Okay. There's like too many things going on the screen. Let me show some stuff here from Hawaii. The press conference is coming up.
Wow. Old folks home gone. Wow.
says at least 53 people confirmed dead. One blaze, which nearly destroyed the historic town of Lahaina, was said to be 80% contained earlier in the day. They warned that the death toll could go higher. Evacuations continuing Thursday, with officials providing buses to take people from the disaster area. Wow. Holy shit.
Prosecution to hold this offender who is.
Yeah, it's video from earlier. They're gonna have a press conference in a couple minutes, I guess. In 10 minutes. Wow. Damn. So they had like a before and after. Dang.
We're almost to the smokestack.
Ooh.
Oh, we made it. We're gonna line on the road now pretty soon. But we don't. Oh, somebody's down right now. Oh. Somebody's down right
there.
Yeah,
somebody's down. Just go, Dad. We cannot do nothing for her. Oh my God.
Oh my God, bro.
Just go, Dad. Just go. Oh. We cannot do nothing for her.
What the fuck, dude?
Just go. Go, people, go. Beat the horn, Dad.
Oh my God, bro. Oh.
Dad, beat the horn.
Holy shit, that's scary as hell.
See.
I guess the fires are just so crazy that I guess you can't even stop. They just said, we gotta go. Holy fuck. Wow.
Hurry the fuck.
Beat the horn, Dad. Beat the horn.
Oh, what the fuck, dude?
Beat the horn. Beat the horn.
Yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh, God damn it. Let's go. Just fire through there. Go.
You need to go, bro.
Yeah, go, go, go. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
What the fuck? What is this?
Yeah.
Where?
Just go.
Yo.
Damn, it's hot. Just go, Dad. We're good.
Motherfucker.
Off road.
Quick.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh my God, dude.
Okay, it's okay. Let's go. We're almost to the end of the mill. We're almost to the smokestack.
Oh, we made it. We're gonna line.
Wow.
Ever.
Damn, man, that's just crazy.
Can't even see anything anymore.
Our house is no longer here, but we are here.
Now is raw.
Let me see what else we can find.
Now is real.
The Fed's decision today, help us translate that into very plain English. Is that good news for us?
Now is constant.
Morning News Now, we're breaking news.
NBC News special report.
You gotta see this. The future is now.
Yeah, people
News
stuck
for
over
the
there.
generation of now.
Are they at the airport?
NBC News Now.
Still to come in the Channel 2 News. Well, the waters are certainly receding now.
Holy crap. I didn't know it was that bad. Okay. Stand by. Special report from CBS. Okay, they're coming. Let's just give it a second here. Let me just go use the restroom too. Yeah, I didn't know it was that bad. Holy crap. Wow. Okay. All right. So we're waiting. So embassy is live. I have embassy right here in the background.
When we come back, late breaking news from the Supreme Court. The justice is blocking a nationwide settlement with the makers of OxyContin, the provision that would have protected the Sackler family that's holding up the deal. We'll explain.
Okay, so we're waiting on this. We can still keep looking at, see some Twitter stuff. So much going on all over the place. Why is all this other stuff popping up with Hawaii? Everybody's just tagging Hawaii. Tag list. Oh man. I got the feed up here too. Fox. Wow. Oh my God. Look at that. It's like the apocalypse. Wow. That's incredible, man. Just to see it like that, like just how. What the heck? Oh my, people are trolling. This photo is circulating social media. Apparently, this was a beam captured before the Hawaii fires. Can anyone confirm? Oh, here we go. They kind of stole a bunch of my photos. Here we go with this shit. All right, let's see. Let's see. Live. Okay, fire caught on dash cam. Wow. There's no sound in the video, that's why.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. We want to take you to Hawaii and Hawaii's Governor Josh Green, who is giving an update on the catastrophic fires in Maui.
It's a heartbreaking day, without a doubt. What we've seen today has been catastrophic, but we tell you there is going to be a team effort to bring our state back. What we saw was the utter devastation of Lahaina. We walked from end to end today as a team. Mayor Bisson for the county, Senator Schatz at the federal level, and myself, plus all of our teams. And what we saw was likely the largest natural disaster in Hawaii state history. You'll recall in 1960, we had 1 year into statehood, a tsunami that hit and took 61 lives on the Big Island. We are seeing loss of life here. As you know, the number has been rising and we will continue to see loss of life. But we have extraordinary professionals working on this job. We also have seen many hundreds of homes destroyed. And that's going to take a great deal of time to recover from. But that's why we come together. We come together to give comfort to people. And like I said, we will prevail. But we come together now to talk about the specifics of resources. This morning at 12:10 a.m., my team and I submitted the proposal to the federal government for presidential disaster declaration. And exactly 6 hours later, we were honored to receive in the affirmative that the federal government will be supporting our full recovery. Which means that there will be grants for individuals from FEMA. There will be support for rental aid. There will be support for small businesses. And this is just a small piece of what's going to be necessary. But the financial aspects of the recovery will help blunt the loss of life because all of us will have a loved one here on Maui that we know of that lost a house, that lost a friend. We talked to many people today, not just at the shelter, which was something to behold. And we appreciate all the volunteers, like we appreciate the incredible work of the firefighters and police. But we talked to an old gentleman who hadn't seen anything like this ever in his life, a wildfire that took a whole city. His neighbors have all lost their homes. His home was intact, but he was in tears. This is a gentleman that doesn't cry easily. We saw young men on bicycles riding through Lahaina. They also had much loss to share. They lost their houses, and they don't know where to turn. So what we're telling you is we will rebuild. Today you're going to hear from not just me as governor, but you're going to see what Senator Schatz will be able to begin working on and proposing for our aid. Also, we have experts from FEMA, of course, our local leadership, our state senator and mayor. But let me say this, a couple things. We are going to need to house thousands of people. It's our intent to initially seek 2,000 rooms so that we can get housing for people. That will mean reaching out to all of our hotels and those in the community. We'll ask people to rent those extra rooms or their ADUs or the ohana that they have in their property. We will create a program so that that's available. It will be deeply subsidized, in my opinion, to make sure that for the many months that people need to find a home, they can have a home here. We will have to make the hotels whole as we do this. They are part of our economy and our community. We're also going to call to action for people across the state. If you have additional space in your home, if you have the capacity to take someone in from West Maui, please do. We'll find a way to connect you. Please consider bringing those people into your lives, especially if you have a space that you can otherwise rent. The state will find resources because the federal government will be in full support. President Biden spoke to me directly and said that they will be here with us all the way. We'll take questions at the end, but I know there are several experts here that are going to address you, and we understand you're hungry for information. Let me just say this up front. We respect that. We know how important it is that you do your jobs, but we're just about 48 hours in, and there's tragedy on the roadside. There's tragedy in the homes in Lahaina, and we're trying to be very careful to respect the dignity of people who have had such loss. So if we've been at any time more difficult to communicate, it's because we're trying to also respect what they've gone through. We'll get you a lot of information as we go forward. So I'll pause there and give it back to Makana.
Mahalo, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to welcome up Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson.
Aloha mai kako. In an event like this, I think we all understand, goes through several phases. We have been in the phase now of fighting fires and saving lives. I appreciate the patience the media has had with us, allowing us to go through that phase. Soon we'll be in the recovery, rebuilding phase, as the governor has spoken to. We know that's going to be a long process, I really want to speak to our citizens, our residents, our visitors, our businesses who have suffered tremendous loss and probably inconsolable grief. I think for us, the message is we're going to try our very best to identify those that have perished so that the families can have that closure and can have that understanding. We're also going to try and connect our families with those who are in our shelters. As you understand, this was an emergency. People left without taking anything with them. In most cases, they have no choice. So now we're at that phase where we want to make sure those that are in our community, whether they're at a hotel or at a shelter or staying with a family or friend, that we can try and match them back with their families. A lot of work being done by all the good people here to make that happen. And again, as the governor spoke to it, we will rebuild, and that's really what we have no choice but to do. Until you see the devastation that we all witnessed, maybe through photographs before this morning, but in person today, it's difficult to describe. But there are lots of people that will need a lot of help, and our goal as government is to provide that help to people. I did want to also speak to the folks whose homes were not damaged. And I know the question on your mind is, when can I get back to my home? Just as soon as we can try to provide the certainty that we have recovered those that have perished. And that's really our goal right now. We're hoping to find people that might just be injured. A lot of time has passed since the incident, so we're still in that phase. But please allow us to complete this process before we allow people back into the homes. There's no power, there's no water back on the west side either. So those are both things we're trying to restore as well. We also want to make sure we can provide enough shelter space at our shelters for folks. We're kind of at the limits in some of the central Maui ones, and we'll have to be creative with our team after this to try to get more for folks out on the west side. So we're very cognizant of the main things that people want to know. Where's my family member? When can I move back to my home? And what's the long-term plan? I mostly, however, want to thank all the partners, the allies that we have in our federal government, our state government, our fellow county government support, and of course, our public. Your patience, your vigilance, we continue to ask for. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor. I'd now like to bring up U.S. Representative Brian Schatz.
Senator.
The magnitude of the crisis on Maui can be summed up in a few phrases. No power, no water. Thousands of people need to be housed for many months. There are questions about IDing victims still on the island. Jonathan Vigliotti is in Maui, and he has seen this devastation up close. Jonathan, what did you see? What can you tell us about what is happening now and what they're trying to accomplish in the next precious hours ahead?
That's it with the press conference, or?
Yeah, good evening to you, Major. Lahaina was the hardest hit community during this wildfire disaster that swept through on Tuesday night. We toured it both on foot and also in the sky in a chopper. When we were there on the ground, I was struck by the sheer level of destruction. Home after home, entire neighborhoods destroyed. We're also talking about businesses and hotels. And then up in the sky this afternoon, we had this incredible perspective seeing how the wind, we're talking wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, pushed this firestorm rapidly through the downtown area all the way up to the Pacific Ocean, and not even stopping there. It destroyed an entire harbor, including boats. So when the governor says he expects the death toll to rise, that is what we're hearing from many people in the community. A question that I have that maybe will be addressed later on during this press conference is what emergency protocols were in place before this crisis hit. We spoke with a number of survivors in town and that had evacuated that said at no point before this crisis struck did they have evacuation orders or receive a single text message. In fact, they said by the time firefighters did arrive on scene, the fire had done most of its damage. This is eerily reminiscent to the Paradise Fire, the campfire that tore through Paradise in California in 2018, killing more than 80 people. At that situation, the evacuation system failed, and it appears that may have happened here. So I'm curious to hear as the days continue what exactly exactly went wrong there. Meanwhile, I can only describe the very active search and recovery effort underway. There are a number of firefighters here, but also the military and even civilians are now joining in this effort, Major.
Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you so much. According to local officials, there are at least 53 dead, and that total is expected to rise. Hawaii Governor Josh Green called it utter devastation of Lahaina and likely the largest natural disaster in state history. Hundreds of homes are destroyed. Thousands will need temporary housing. Our coverage on this story will continue on our CBS News streaming and your local news. For some of you, the CBS...
That's insane, man. I had no idea that was going on. There's a couple of clips that we can look at. I'm going to check out some of these and then probably get off. I wasn't expecting to jump back on. I actually needed to go do something, but, you know, well, that's life, right? Okay, let me see. Let's see, what's this here? It's a live stream. Oh, here, they cut off the live.
So that's a dual status commander. I'll be.
Oh, they cut off the live.
Brigadier General Stephen Logan, who's currently my Deputy Adjutant General. He will be the dual status commander. So he'll have the authority to command both active duty and National Guard forces. I've been in close contact with Admiral Aquilino, who's the commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, and General Charles Flynn, who's the commander of the U.S. Army Pacific, and they have said they will provide the state whatever military resources we need for response and recovery. I did ask, and we did formally request several capabilities and resources from FEMA and from the federal government. I'll allow Administrator Fenton to go into the details of what he's approved, but it's going to take a long time, as the mayor and both the governor alluded to. There's so much destruction. It's going to take time to rebuild, and we're going to need that all-of-nation approach that I talked about. Thank you.
Audio is weird.
Hello, at this time, we'd like to bring up Robert Fenton, Region 9, FEMA Administrator.
And prayers with those who have lost friends and loved ones during this event. We want to be with you, not only now, but through the recovery in the years to come. Also, a message of safety. Make sure you continue to heed the warnings of local officials. Don't wait. Listen to them and heed their warnings. As all the speakers before me talked about, is unity of effort. I just like to say one team, one fight. But this is really going to take a whole community effort. It's just not government at the federal, state, local level. It's business, private sector, nonprofits, the citizens of Maui, all come together to work together to help recover. The devastation that I saw today is significant. I've been on many fires in my career. I've been in FEMA for 26 years, been to the biggest fires in the country, and the downtown area is significantly damaged and a lot of lost structures down there. Some of the programs that we will bring and that are important here is the ability to provide direct federal assistance. What does that mean? That means I have the authority under the president to task other federal agencies to provide support to Maui and the state of Hawaii. And some of those missions, I'm sure, are going to be in the debris removal area, household hazardous waste that usually US EPA does for us. The Corps of Engineers usually removes debris for us. And many other missions to include potentially generator missions, mass care, commodities, and also bringing in some search and rescue teams that help with cadaver dogs to look for human remains. And they're on the way in right now, both from California and Washington. And we'll integrate them and support the great fire department you have here. Our individual assistance program is the key program for individuals. For those that are survivors who either lost loved ones or you can't get back to your house, or you think you've been impacted by this storm, go ahead and phone the 1-800-320-6632 FEMA number. Again, that is 1-800-320-6632. You can also go to disasterassistance.gov. And FEMA assistance can provide direct grants to those individuals to assist them with home repair or replacement and certain uninsured essential personnel property losses. So keep any receipts you incur during this time. Also, they'll automatically refer you to small business. As we talked about, there's a lot of damage to the businesses, and the Small Business Association will be not only working with businesses, but individuals. And we encourage all the survivors in Maui County, as they register for FEMA, to also begin to reach out to your insurance companies. Start that process simultaneously as you start the individual assistance process. In addition to that individual assistance program, we could provide support for public entities and certain essential nonprofits. There's been a lot of significant damage to public buildings down there, hospitals, those kind of things. And we could help with the rebuilding of those. Not only do we want to rebuild them, but we want to rebuild them better, more resilient. We want to make sure they're hardened against future threats, whether it be fires, hurricanes, tsunamis, or other events. And then our last program is our mitigation program. 15% of all the funding we spend here will be put aside to help with some of those future projects. So as we redesign and look at, what does the future hold? How do we help get there? Those funds can be drawn on along with other federal agencies, and we'll make sure we have a long-term recovery coordinator here to help Maui, the state of Hawaii, to help rebuild those areas.
For individual assistance at disasterassistance.gov and 1-800-320-6632. Thank you.
We'd now like to bring up Senator Lindsey Coit.
Aloha mai kākou. I'll read this really fast. As you know, we have tried to bring in every resource that we have, that we can. We're trying to do this. Notice that our heartfelt condolences, our prayers, our love to Johanna, your family goes out. As our phones have been filled very heavily, not just here in Maui, as we all went into the center this morning, I can tell you that you guys have a team on the ground that is working hard, fast, and swift. FEMA here, Governor has done everything as far as the order of traditional delegation, the military. I can tell you that working through Honolulu at the Convention Center as we start to move people out and receiving people on the other end through HDA, Director Tokioka has been a huge support, and his team. It's not just about tourism here, it's about the residents also as we help to assist them. We've heard the outreach. I ask that for those of you who can help each other, please help each other in time of need. We know that there's a lot of emotional trauma going on. I want to just thank everybody that has supported. We have much funds, supplies coming in, the groups, the businesses that have going on. I want to just thank everybody that has supported. We have much funds, supplies coming in, the groups, the businesses that have been affected. These are the businesses that are standing there strong across the world. We are getting calls just to help with housing, funds, and it is just unbelievable. But our priority here is Maui at this time. It's the people of Maui. It's to support the mayor. I do want to iterate, social media has killed us a lot. A lot of the information going out has been misinformation, which is why the team from governor down to military has pushed clarification to the mayor's office. Please, those numbers and stuff that might come out, it comes to the mayor's office. We're here to support the county, the mayor, his team on the ground, and mahalo for being here, mahalo for helping us get the word out, and God bless our families. Take care.
Mahalo, Senator DeCoit. I'd like to now bring up Fire Chief Brad Ventura.
Audio's all whacked up.
Aloha, good afternoon. My name is Brad Ventura, Fire Chief for Maui County. First, I want to start by giving our deepest condolences to all those affected by this incident. It's affected a lot of us personally, members of our community, our families, and our department. So our hearts go out to all of them. Give you a little bit of background of how the day unfolded Tuesday. Our firefighters are faced with multiple large wildfires beginning just after midnight Tuesday morning. These firefighters are compounded by extreme winds that we're all aware of. The first fire up in Upper Makawao burned about 675 acres. By 11 o'clock in the morning, that's when the Lahaina fire began. It was fueled by gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Some even reported up to 80 miles an hour, but we saw up to 60 miles an hour in the localized area. We redirected resources from many parts of the island to respond to the Lahaina area. And around noon, an additional fire started in Kula, and that spurred evacuations of Kulalani Circle, Kulamanu in that afternoon, and resources were also directed up there. Around 6 p.m., a fourth wildfire started that afternoon on Pulehu Road down in the Central Valley. That burned several hundred acres, and again, resources had to be directed, and decisions had to be made to triage what was
it's hard to hear.
Most important at the time.
All the way
so that fire was left with less resources. As of yesterday, it burned 675. I'm sorry, not that fire. That fire was several hundred acres. I don't have a number on that one yet. What we want to share with the community is that none of the fires are 100% contained right now, and there's still active fire in all of those areas that I've discussed. Additionally, we've had many small fires in between these large fires, and with the current weather pattern that we're facing, we still have the potential for rapid fire behavior. And so we just want to make sure people stay out of the area, stay diligent. If they see smoke and flames, please call 911. We've stood up our incident management team to manage our resources within our department that are focused mostly on containing all of these emergencies right now and stopping them from growing. Our department has received both state and federal support and resources that are on the way, some landing right now. And what we really want to share with the community is part of the reason we need them to stay out is because it's still very, very hazardous in the burn areas. Things are falling every minute around us, and there have been some people that have been hurt by just falling telephone poles and such. So we need to make sure the area is safe before anybody can return to that space. That's all the comments I have for now. Thank you.
Mahalo. Finally, we'd like to bring up Police Chief John Pelletier.
Thank you. Our deepest condolences. It can't be stated enough because we don't know how many people we have dead. When this is all said and done, we just don't know. I have to say thank you to the incredible work of the men and women of the Maui Police Department that day in and day out do an incredible job. I have call takers that are answering calls knowing that on the other end we don't have the answers for their loved ones. And I've got officers that are doing everything they can to stand with our firefighters to make sure that this is the safest community possible, because right now we have a scar on the face of Maui that will be here for a very long time. We know that scars heal in time, but they always remain. We need three things from the community right now. We need your patience, we need your prayers, and we need your perseverance. Understand this. Lahaina Town is hallowed sacred ground right now because our iwi are in that ground. We have to get them out. We will get them out as fast as we can, but I need your patience while we do this. I know you need to get out there. I know that you guys don't have some of the supplies, you don't have power. But we have to respect the fact that we've got loved ones in that earth, and we've got to do the right thing and get them out the right way. That's going to take time. I'll get the road open as fast as I can, but I have to do it safely. As we move forward, I need you to know this. This community is unlike any other. This is one team, one fight. We do have the state, the local, the federal resources here. That flag is red, white, and blue. That flag is red, white, and blue. All of us bleed red. We are here to be with you in this time of need. We are Maui strong. We will get through this. We will be better. We will make this the safest, best community possible. And we need you to understand right now, we need your help more than ever. God bless you. God bless Maui. God bless Hawaii.
Mahalo nui. At this time, we'd like to entertain questions from the media present. I'd like to ask for your respectful kokua as we go through that process. I'm going to limit initially to one question per meeting. I'll respond accordingly. I will start here.
Hi, I'm Stuart Yerton with Civil Beat.
I have a question. How much and how long, both for public and private repair and recovery? And when I say this, I mean, how much money are you thinking it's going to take both for the private side and public infrastructure, and how long do you expect this to take?
So, thank you, Stuart, for the question. The question you put in here is how long and what's the size of this recovery? It will take time to know the full extent, but it will be in billions of dollars, without a doubt. We're first focused on lives lost. That's why we are so heartbroken. And while we have to respect what the Chief of Police had to say, there will be active recovery over the coming days and weeks of the bones of those who have been lost. So it will take time. To give perspective, it is going to take many years to rebuild Lahaina. When you see the full extent of the destruction of Lahaina, it will shock you. It does appear like a bomb and fire went off, if I may. And all of those buildings virtually are going to have to be rebuilt. It will be a new Lahaina that Maui builds in its own image, with its own values. But it's going to be billions of dollars. The good news that we had today was we are so coordinated with state, county, and federal support that it took less than a quarter of a day, 6 hours, to get the approval from the president to bring those resources in. I think what I'll do is I will ask Bob to kind of give you an idea of how, in general, I can't speak yet to how fast the dollars will come to our residents, but in general, what happens when FEMA gets that kind of designation.
We have a disaster relief fund that we draw funding on. It's appropriated annually, and there's also supplementals to it. And so in these disasters, the grants to individuals can happen pretty quickly. The homes are destroyed. We do already have mapping of the area. We've already processed it against there. So start the call in, and we could actually get inspectors to use some of that visual imagery to validate the damages to someone's house. What we'll do is set up recovery centers with Maui in locations over time, so that as individuals have questions and want to do case management, they can come in there. Put that funding through there, not only can provide rental assistance, but repair costs for your house and other assistance if you're if it's your primary property, and after rental assistance, after insurance. It's a direct grant. Basically, we set it into your account. There's no cost share. It could be done fairly quickly. You'll see numbers come up. They'll start happening pretty quickly. Probably over the next week, you'll see dollars going out on the street pretty quickly. We'll bring in individuals that will go out, and for those that maybe can't register or have difficulty registering over the internet, we will go ahead and try to come to you. We have people who go out to the field with palm pads. They'll look for you. We'll go to the shelters. We'll go to other locations and try to help them. As far as public assistance, it's primarily a reimbursement, and so as the county and the state spend funds, we reimburse those costs. That also can happen pretty quickly. The direct federal assistance I talked about is us doing the work. So when we talk about the debris mission, which may be a very large mission there, and I've done them in California before for big fires like this, where I've seen structures on this this magnitude destroyed. It's taken us months to a year to finish the debris mission, just to give you an idea, depending on the number of structures, the amount of concrete that's been removed, the number of structures that didn't come down. And those missions have cost in the past anywhere from hundreds of millions of dollars to $1 billion, depending on how much landfill space you have, where do we recycle stuff at, do we have to take it off island? There's all these questions that we got to start working through right now. That's directly the federal government doing it. And we're doing it in support, in coordination of the county and the state. So, and then what we'll do is our mitigation funding is as we identify projects, we provide grants that people can apply for, public entities can apply for those grants over time. And that'll probably really happen a year to 18 months down the timeline once you really start identifying what the master plan is, how you're rebuilding, what do we need to mitigate. So a lot of our funding can be directly given, especially to individuals. That's why I say start with that registration process. Go to disasterassistance.gov, download the FEMA app, go to the 1-800 number, and start that. It can be pretty quickly to get money in your pocket, especially if you need money to cover costs you're expending, especially if you need some rental assistance,
And then we're going to figure out through case management what other types of forms of programs we need to bring in here. There may be unique programs that meet your needs that we need to either bring that we used before, or new ones we need to develop that's specific to the uniqueness and culture out here in Maui.
We're going to add, take energy, for example. The poles in some cases have been incinerated. They're down. It's going to take ECO a lot of time. We're talking about more than just days. We're talking about weeks to months in some cases to get energy fully restored. In the interim, of course, we're going to do all that we can to get people generators. We're going to do all that we can to find other places for people to live. It's not going to just be a couple days, like in a terrible rainstorm when power gets restored. So those are some of the challenges. Also, speaking to resources, there has been a discussion. We haven't made a final decision yet about this, but with the leadership of the House and the Senate locally, we may very well need to come into a special session to decide on a number of dollars to appropriate specifically to Maui to support the people, to help them with housing, to help them with recovery. You do recall that when we had flooding in the past, we appropriated over $100 million to directly support our people. And that's why we have rainy day funds. The legislature this year this year alone set aside $500 million, and there was already $1 billion of resource that was for emergency. This is the greatest emergency we've seen in decades.
So they do have a donation place, Maui Strong Fund.
Hello, next.
Thomas Heaton, Civil Beat for the Governor. Yesterday, Lieutenant Governor Luke said, quote, "We never anticipated in this state that a hurricane which did not make impact on our islands will cause this type of wildfires." A similar phenomenon occurred during Hurricane Lane in 2018, and experts have been warning of the increasing dangers of wildfires in Hawaii for a number of years. My question is, after Hurricane Lane, did the state make any changes, or did it prepare for this kind of scenario going in the future from there?
We've never experienced a wildfire that affected a city like this before, so this is something that we have not experienced before. We have experienced wildfires across the state, and they've been tragic, but usually tragic in open space. This was, of course, a shock to see a hurricane and its winds and the trade winds cause collateral damage, which was the spread of fire. I think that we're seeing this for the first time in many different parts of the world, where we see fires from California to Colorado. I would comment that I've been contacted by several governors across the country to share.
I guess there was
their
a hurricane offshore, but look at that.
It is difficult now in a time where global warming is combined with strengthening storms and drought. That is difficult for us. I think that the tragedy would have been very difficult to anticipate, especially as it came in the night with high winds. But that does not mean that we won't do everything we can in the future to stop this. Our administration, which is just 6 months in, has begun to assess all of our safety, and this has been the hardest experience to factor into that. I do think that as we rebuild, we'll have to take into consideration a lot more fire safety. We are short on a lot of resources across the state, and that means we're short on helicopters and we're short on personnel. It's difficult to find enough resources to pay firefighters and police adequately to get them into the discipline. So it's always a challenge in the islands. But this is going to be a priority. Climate change is here and it's affecting the islands. And I think that's what we're seeing with this fire.
Just 1 second. We love our civil beat, but we got a twofer in there, so let's not kind of hold that. If you are from a media outlet, I'd like you guys to just pair up with your partner. We've got multiple people here taking one question per outlet. So mahalo nui. I'm actually going to change it up. We did get a question in from Honolulu Star Advertisers, Dan Nicasso, for the mayor and police chief. Were mandatory evacuation orders ever issued for Lahaina? If not, why not? Were civil defense sirens considered as a way to warn residents and tourists of the fire?
Yes, mandatory evacuations did take place on the west side those affected areas. So it wasn't, for example, Napili, Kailua, but certainly for Lahaina.
Other questions, sirens, different things in there. We have tone alerts that go out. We know that there's things that we can do to be preventative. How many times have we heard have 2 weeks of supply if you hear of a hurricane? The only thing I would say to the person asking the question is, we've heard that for how long? Do we all have 2 weeks of supply? Probably not. And so I say that because nobody saw this coming. And if we did, we wouldn't have this situation, but this is a tragedy. And so we do everything we can to mitigate the threats when they come. But this was not one of those, if it's predictable, it's preventable. Nobody saw this coming, period.
Mahalo, I'm going to go this side of the room. Right back there. You, yes.
Hi there, Governor, fellow dignitaries, Justin Michaels from the Weather Channel. And you may have covered this. If you have, I apologize. Is there a handle yet on how many people are still missing at this hour?
He's going to defer that to me.
Sure, whomever. Yeah.
So honestly, we don't know. And here's the challenge. There's no power. There's no internet. There's no radio coverage. Our pack sets, we're having a hard time getting through on that. The fire burned 2 fires or 3 fires ago, fiber optic cables, which we're in the process on this budget to start replacing some of those. And so now you compound some of that. And so when we're speaking to our officers over there, we're actually having them to get to a certain area so we can get on a sat phone as we're recovering. So I would say that we've got approximately, and this is a very fluid number, but let's say there's 1,000 missing people. Doesn't mean that's how many that we have that have passed. I'm not saying that number at all, but because we can't contact them and because they can't necessarily come into the Greater Valley as quickly or as much as we'd like because they're actually in shelter until we get some of those basic things set up. We're not going to have that number, but the nice, solution to that is we have a family assistance center set up, and so anybody that's missing anybody, we would direct you there. We'll make sure that you have that information provided. People can go there and give the information of those that they're seeking to find, and as we are able to reunify, we will, and if we have to make certain notifications from there, we will do that as well. Thank you.
I am going to jump here.
Wendy Osher, Pacific Media Group in Maui Now. I'm just wondering if you could, I know you guys have done reconnaissance, maybe the fire department or the mayor can answer this. Walk us through Front Street, Lahaina. What specific neighborhoods are gone? Was it sporadic? Was it every other house? Was it the entire area? Can you give us a better idea of what we're looking at?
It's all gone.
What about up Lahaina?
From Wamana to the chart house.
How about going up Mauka, like Lahaina Luna Road? How far?
The cutoff was the area, well, what we could see today was the highway. So the winds look like they came from Mauka down to Makai. Some of the parts were open, but let's say Galvey Street. In that area, there was one structure that is irreparable, the harm there, but others were intact. But the older neighborhood from the line of the road, from the road down to Front Street, everything there is destroyed.
What about the Lahaina Luna area? That's something.
I gotta let my comment actually.
Are you together as a
No,
follow-up?
just to follow, because I'm not clear what he's
Can you
saying.
please identify yourself?
Yeah, it's Pauline Kerr with Maui Alert.
Alrighty.
So those houses in that subdivision by the bypass, how much of that is gone as well?
So you're referring to the Lahaina Luna Road neighborhood?
Correct.
So the fire did start above that, and some of the first homes that caught on fire were in that neighborhood. And from those upper houses, it did go to the Kahoma area, and also extended to Waihui, which is above the highway, close to the fire station.
Any other, before we let you go, any other specific questions related to this? Any piggyback questions? Go ahead.
Daryl Huff from Hawaii News Now. In this regard,
the wildly different death estimates that have been given, 6, 36, I didn't know where we are today. Can we please get a confirmed death number that you do know? And number 2, where are the maps, and can people see these maps that they've used to identify the structures? Because we've also had widely disparate estimates of how many structures have been damaged. So, the public is concerned because one day they hear 271 structures. The next day, there's public statements to thousands of structures. So what data do you have that's firm, and what is the process you're going to go through, other than trying to find all the missing people and decide if they're dead?
There's a lot there that you just kind of
I think you understand where I'm getting at.
back this up. So real quick, 53 right now is confirmed. If the mayor or myself do not give you that number, it's not accurate. There's a lot of people that are in a rush to get news fast. I get it, totally get it, sensational. We want it faster, we want it right. We're going to do it right. We're going to take our time, we're going to do it right. We'll get you the aerial maps when we can. When the mayor said it's all gone, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's gone. So, do I know exactly how many buildings? We'll get that. But we're going to get it right. We're going to get it in time.
Can I just follow up?
I want to jump on the chief. If you just want to say, the reason the numbers vary is somebody to say how many residences are gone. Well, if you got a condominium or an apartment building that has 20 units, is that a structure or is that 20 units? You decide how you want to count that. In this case, it doesn't matter because the whole thing is gone. As a store, we're going to count that as a structure. A home is a residence. We just want to call everything structures. So it really depends on the way you phrase the question. That's the answer you're going to get. But the easy part is, I'm telling you, none of it's there. Okay. It's all burnt to the ground.
I absolutely understand, Mayor. The people we've been talking to out in the community are trying to discern for themselves their own personal loss. And earlier, I think someone described these maps. And I think that they would be very helpful to people to see the map. They know whether their relative lived next to a condo or down the street. But let's see the map. And then maybe that would help you, because people will call and say, I know grandma was in that map. I think you should look at her house. It's just a matter of public information flowing back and forth to help you out. And that's why I'm wondering why that public information has not been coming in such a way that it can help the people help you.
Thank you, Gerald. Go ahead.
I wanted to just clarify. 53 Paula Ramon, ASP. I wanted to clarify. 53 people died in Lahaina's fire. Only, so far. I know the number will probably rise. And also, do you have an estimate how many people are still trapped in there?
So 53 confirmed in the Lahaina town, the greater Lahaina town that we're referring to. So far we've recovered 53 confirmed. I do not know, and that's the issue. And so because of the assistance of FEMA, we've got some of the professionals coming in that have done these things in the past, some of the equipment, because realize this, right now we've got Maui Search and Rescue, we've got the police department, we've got some folks from the National Guard. My cops answer calls for service. They go chase bad guys, they go build cases. We don't normally, but it's a crisis, I understand that, go into buildings and pull out some of the bodies. So we got to do it as safely and as possible as we can. So we know at this point we're going to need to do that. But we've got to do it slow and methodical, because we've got to make sure that we respect everything and we bring everybody to the resting place the right way. And so therein lies part of the issue. So it's 53, it is rising. I do not know what the final number is going to be. And it's going to be horrible and tragic when we get that number. Because every one of us, it's not 53. It's 53 families, friends, it's a community. And so the amount of loss is incredible. And it's going to be devastating.
I'm going to go right back here in this corner.
Bridget Namata, KHON. This question is for Mayor Bisson. Mayor, quite a few Maui residents and visitors, particularly the ones that have been sleeping on their car on the entrance to Lahaina, they have said that the disaster response has been chaotic, and they're frustrated with what they say is lack of direction and lack of communication. I think they just want to hear from you. What is your message to them?
We've opened several shelters. We've had to close some of them because of the fire that we didn't anticipate, for example, the Lahaina Civic Center. But what I'll say to people in their cars is they have a choice to come to the shelters or not to come to the shelters. Some people are waiting because they think the road's going to open right away, and they think the power's going to come back on and the water's going to come back. Most of the people have no idea what happened to Lahaina Town. So they think this is one of those situations where we'll wait it out for a couple hours like a traffic jam. I think once they find out what we all know now, they will come to the shelters. So I don't know if it's a lack of communication or if it's a personal decision that people make to wait it out. Because we do have shelters that we made available. And on the first night, there was 2,100 people there. So these 2,100 people found the communication to be adequate to show up. So the folks that didn't come, I'm going to say it was more a result of a personal choice. Even people who come to the shelters don't come inside. They stay in their cars in the parking lot. Again, a personal choice. Maybe they don't want to be around 100 or 1,000 other people. I understand all of that. I understand the human nature of this that's happening to people. Most people are still in shock. They can't even believe it. Most people want to hurry up and get back to their house. They want to see for themselves. Just like all of you are. You almost want to see it for yourselves. Is that really what happened? Are they really telling us everything that happened? We're telling everything that happened. My message to those folks is go to mauicounty.gov, which is the website that we've informed everybody to go to. It's very clear, it's very explicit. You can go to the one closest to where you live if you're up country, or you can come to one in central Maui. We had to close 2 of them in the west side because one it was temporary, and the other is because the fire came up to it. So we had to readjust. I just want to say one other thing while I'm here, because I think this is what's also repeating or saying. We were trying to get visitors out because obviously their vacation has changed drastically. They're in a location that doesn't have any power, doesn't have any water, and they're sleeping there. So that's probably better than some of the choices other people had, which was to not have anywhere to go. But we tried to get them to the airport so they could get on flights, so they could get to Honolulu and make a choice to stay there or fly home or go to another island. We're not closing Maui. We're closing the west side of Maui. So there are people that can go to Waia, there are people that can go to Kihei, people that can stay with family or it's the folks that were in South, that are in West Maui that we were concerned about. Plus, we were hoping we could use those hotel rooms for our residents who could replace the space that our visitors are taking. So, I mean, that's the best I can guess, because I don't know why people stayed there, but I don't think it was for a lack of information.
And hopefully today, we will be able to release a large volume of pictures and video from this site. And so I want to share very openly, it will shock you how much damage, the way things burn to just their base, cars, trucks, buildings. There's no way anyone could stay in that space or be in that space. The lines, all of the infrastructure is gone. So we'll share extensive photos, and that will help, I think, people understand fully the full scope of the disaster that the mayor and the police chief and the fire chief have had to deal with. Plus, of course, the evacuation of thousands of visitors to find space, either like make sure they're on planes or even the convention center as it's set up. But it's a profound change of landscape.
Mahalo, I'm going to take you right here.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jill Cowan. I'm with the New York Times. I wanted to ask a little bit more about the evacuation orders. You mentioned, Mayor, mandatory evacuation orders. We've been hearing from residents that some on the west side were told late in, I guess, Tuesday afternoon to shelter in place. We've also heard that there was no emergency warning from early in the morning on that Tuesday to the afternoon. So I'm hoping somebody can kind of walk through in as much detail as possible when alerts went out, who they went to, what the thinking was to either tell people to shelter in place or to leave if they could, and yeah, just sort of what the thinking was, and if you do things a little differently now, or just sort of what the timeline was. That's been a source, I think, of a little bit of confusion just in our reporting. We've been hearing different things from different folks.
I'm going to guess that the person you spoke to was a visitor.
We spoke to a lot of people, including residents.
Let me explain.
Hold on.
You spoke to a visitor if they were asked to shelter in place. Because all of the hotels were asked to shelter in place. Now, did people want to stay there? No, they wanted to get out. They wanted to get out of Lahaina. And we asked them not to because we were trying to get emergency vehicles into Lahaina and not have this bottleneck. You couldn't get out, if you're familiar with Lahaina, you couldn't get out to go towards Waiuku or go to the airport. That road was closed. There were 29 poles that fell on our roads. 29 of the power poles were down, and they were still energized. So you couldn't go out. So the only other way to go out, if you're familiar with Maui, is Kahakuloa, which is a one-lane highway in most places, which is why that was a bottleneck. So yes, people were asked to stay in their hotels and not leave. The residents were evacuated. Those are the folks that we took out of there. Now, I don't know if
were they taken
alarm, I don't know if the alarms went off or if they were burnt. I can't tell you that because I wasn't in Lahaina. But I'm going to just confirm that if you were at one of the hotels in Kaanapali, because the fires were not there, people were asked to stay there, but people still tried to get out. They didn't want to stay there. They weren't listening to what we were asking them to do. But I don't know about the alarms, how they weren't.
I'll just add.
Cell alerts, whatever the different modes were.
So our department is not responsible for that. So I'll just speak to what we're responsible for over it. The fire that day moved so quickly that from where it started in the brush to where it moved into the neighborhood, communications back to those who make those notifications were physically and nearly impossible.
I'm sorry, which department is it?
Emergency management
Okay.
agency is responsible for that. So I don't, because the notifications are done localized cell phone towers and such, there could have been some of those that were out, with like the cell phone services out right now. But all I can tell you is what we experienced was such a fast moving fire through the neighborhood that the initial neighborhood that caught fire, they were basically self-evacuating with fairly little notice. And then that's when we anticipate seeing most of our people. And then as we get further down the front street, a little later in the day, hopefully other people are evacuated. Multiple locations.
Just want to remind everybody it's a very devastating time for Maui. Please be gentle with your lines of questions. We welcome them, but just be a little bit gentle. Everybody up here, I don't believe has slept in the last 48 hours. So we just appreciate your kindness. One last question, and then if you did not get your questions answered, you are free to reach out directly to me. We will follow up, post this interview this conference rather, with a news release with digital assets.
I got rid of one of those reporters that cut his ass out.
I think you two, I already asked.
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Stand by. Go for it.
She cut his ass again.
Chivo Chen Johnson with Akaku Maui Community Media. And I think any further lines of questioning would be sort of silly at this point, because I have seen a lot of this footage and a lot of these photographs, and we've been airing as much as we can information. And I just want to thank the county, the police department, the fire department, and everyone else that has been pitching in to help this effort out, because it is horrific. And my heart goes out to all of the people that have suffered way greater than anyone else.
The reporter's still trying to come back. You heard that?
I just want to say we're going to do regular media updates every day at 9 a.m., at noon, and at 3 p.m. We're going to try to use this room unless it's unavailable, in which case we will have to find another.
I got you to come back. You still asking my question.
Oh, those will be the radios? Okay, sorry. We're going to update you on the radio at those times, 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m.
Is there a reason we can't do it video? Just out of curiosity, I mean, a lot of people. I said, is there a reason we can't do a video? There's a lot of people that don't get the radio that are in tune with Maui.
I will tell you that what Mayor's talking about is a way to communicate to the public as well, for those who do not have internet and video access. So 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. on every AM and FM radio station on Maui Island will be public information. Video, we will fit in. It will probably not be 3 times a day for video though.
So there'll be no questions allowed?
The public is asking us to provide as much updates and information as possible. We are working
I want to see what that guy looks like. That guy's pushing, bro.
You're also satisfied. So, first of all, mahalo for your attention on this crisis. Like I said earlier, it's the largest natural disaster that our state has seen. That's becoming evident quite quickly. We will be holding routine press conferences at the state level, and at the right times, we'll introduce the right people, which is usually going to be several people at the press conferences. We're going to try to unburden, to the greatest extent possible, the mayor, chief of police, and the fire chief as they do their job in this acute phase. But of course, they always answer questions too. We will be compiling a lot of information and sharing it. There will be chances for all of you to ask questions. We'll be doing it with FEMA support, with, in many cases, General Harr's leadership. We have our team assembled statewide, which is not unlike the way we approached COVID, which was to share a lot of information. It's just in these first 48 hours, the amount of damage has necessitated a conservative approach, because we really don't want those individuals that are in shelters right now to lose all hope. And that's where we are today. But there will be lots of opportunities. My team will be back here in support of the mayor very frequently, but we'll also hold a lot of press availability on Oahu, and we'll Zoom people in from the member islands. I think that's fair to say. But we appreciate you. We also want to send a message before I go to the mainland and to the world. Please support the people of Maui. There are ways to do it. The Hawaii Community Foundation, for example, has set up a fund, I believe it's called Maui Strong. It's also going through the United Way, the Maui United Way. Millions of dollars have already poured in, but as you can tell, thousands of individuals are going to have great need here in the county, and that's going to go directly to those people. So thank you to everyone for doing what you can. And if you're a local resident, find a way to take someone in from Maui, if at all possible. Because this rebuild is going to be extraordinary, but it's going to take time.
Wow. Okay. I don't know, that one reporter, yeah, he was kind of pushing. I mean, I guess that's their job, but he was really trying to press him. Even at the end, he was like, "You didn't answer my question." I was like, "Oh shit!" That lady cut his ass. Once she waved her hand, that was it. I don't know if they muzzled him or what. All right. Hello. Let me see who sent me this. I know you're on Instagram. I don't want to say your Instagram name, but I got your aloha. Yeah, I got your thing.
I know what. There was tornadoes of ash the size of charcoal from a barbecue, like being thrown by baseball players. I'm ducking behind walls. I had to kick in the door at Bubba Gump's to get out of it because I was getting pounded. And then Bubba Gump started on fire, and I'm running down Front Street, and the wall, there's like 80 people, and the ocean was on fire. Firefighter told me because the first layer of ash causes a seal. And then the next layer of ash was all the ambers. So the tide line was on fire, and I had to jump through the water and come up through the fire. And 80 people, they were on the wall. Everybody started jumping in. Coast Guard was out there grabbing people. And I was like, no, I'm good. I was born in the water. I'm a Kai. And they're grabbing people, and I swam. I knew my phone was only good for like 15 seconds being submerged, then swam for like a half mile north. It was like nothing you've ever seen. This was bad that the people in their cars that were dead and from asphyxiation and the fire blew out the car, and you just saw the numbers of the dead are so wrong. People happening. It was a
wow. All right, I'm gonna head out for now, guys, because I ran a little bit late today with the other stream, this unexpected one. We'll keep an eye on this. you know, when I can to see. I've been kind of somewhat on a break. I've been handling other stuff, project stuff. I put the link to Maui Strong Fund in the description. And yeah, that's pretty scary. I can imagine that shit looks like a movie or something. It looks like surreal, unreal, end of the world type of shit over there. That's crazy. And then how they were talking about this guy was saying the ocean's on fire. I mean, wow. Wow. It really is like the end of times, isn't it? All these crazy, crazy stories. I want to talk about my mother tomorrow, see what she thinks about that. Really like the end of times. Boat's doctor on fire too. Wow. Aloha, thank you so much. Yeah, man. And so it looks like there was a hurricane offshore, or just whatever. They got hurricane winds, and of course, you know, oxygen fuels fire. So what a crazy combination. Juju's like ocean on fire. Wow. I mean, I guess it's worse for the people that live there, but I imagine vacationing there too, and all this crap happening. Man, at least you get to leave. But oh, Colin. Prepping, man, prepping. I mean, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, I'm gonna get off, man. Thank you guys so much again. Bloop bloop. See what happens. See what comes tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. Take care.